Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Art of MMA. I'm Mike Ginn. That's the mechanic, Brandon Catino. You guys talked. We listened. This week, guess what's back, Brandon? Battleground. Battleground is back. We're going to slip it in the middle. We'll start off with our results. We'll talk about our reactions to UFC Vegas 58. Finish up with our previews and picks for UFC on ABC 3 with Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez this weekend. But stuffed in the middle, we got Battleground. So we're going to bring a little bit of MMA debate to Art of MMA, talking about Shavkat and Khamzat, who is the future of the welterweight division. Brandon's going to have his opinions. I'm going to have mine. If you've watched Battleground, you know what it is. So we put out the poll, Brandon. That's what the people wanted. MMA debate. Here we are. So, and I know y'all love when Brandon, he's the good guy. I'm the bad guy. So we'll just give you what you want. But before we do that, Brandon, check out fightersfirst.shop. Let our apparel be a part of your story. Of course, Brandon's rocking the classic Art of MMA shirt. I got the Bad News Allen, Buffalo Allen, New Japan shirt on today. Whole new collection, always coming up with some great new stuff. Check it out, fightersfirst.shop. Brandon, how you feeling today, buddy?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. Ready to talk some MMA with you, and of course to take you to a task during Battleground.
Always fun times. You got a busy week. You just got a new episode of Kicking It Out back on Art of MMA. So keeping Brandon busy this week. A lot going on in the world. A lot of fights getting scrapped and changed. So we're going to kind of skip over the news section this week because really the only news part is Nate Diaz wants out. That's like dominating the headlines. Free Nate. I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe you do, but I just don't know why Dana just doesn't. Dana's even said go ahead and fight Jake Paul. I don't know. Dana just wants to hold on to him for some reason. I don't know. But last weekend, Brandon, I'm going to jump into the reaction section. The results, our recaps, what's next, UFC Vegas 58. Brandon, last week we had a battle of the Rafael. We had some awesome fights on that UFC Vegas 58 card. Let's go ahead and jump right into the main event. Rafael versus Rafael, Fiziev versus Dos Anjos. Both of us thought Dos Anjos was just a level above. I gotta say, Dos Anjos really did kind of control most of the fight up until the last round, and then he got caught. He got put to sleep. I think it was a good stoppage. Even Dos Anjos thinks it was a good stoppage. What do you think of that fight?
Yeah, man, it was a good fight. Like I said, Fiziev had a lot of questions, or should I say, people had a lot of questions about Fiziev.
Mostly his endurance.
Yeah, but like I said, man, he looked sharp like that first round. Like I said, that first round he definitely looked good. I definitely gave it to him. Like I said, his takedown defense is like I think like number 2 in the UFC. Just like behind Kamaru Usman. Like I said, RDA, he did have trouble taking him down. Like he only got him down
1 for 12 or something like that.
Yeah. Like he only got him down in the 4th round. But like I said, I really had RDA, like I said, controlling the fight. Like I said, maybe in that 5th round, I either had it 2-2 or maybe could have had it been 3-1 RDA in my opinion. But like I said, I'm not a judge. But hey, man, Fiziev, but Fiziev came out the 5th round, energetic. He still had the cardio. He still had the conditioning to pull up that combination. He caught RDA, finished him, got his hand raised, and then plus 2, you saw him get on the mic. Had a little joke, about who's the best Rafael in the UFC, and then he wanted to challenge
Rafael Nadal.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm saying, he's just building up on his star power, because like I said, you do something like that, give you a little notice, and also too, him going back and forth with Conor McGregor on Twitter and stuff like that. So I mean, like I said, just to me, there's another star, kind of in the making in that 155 division.
I'll tell you, I agree with everything you said. I'll tell you what, though, couple things. One, he looked like he was in the best shape I've seen him in his UFC career. He didn't, like, normally he has a little bit of baby fat. There was no baby fat this time. Like, he was ready for this 5 rounds. He did a good job of pacing himself. Like, he was losing the fight, in my opinion, but it was definitely a close fight, but he was losing it. But I think a lot of it was because he was kind of saving up, trying to get to the 5th round. He was trying to make it if this fight lasted. And he was throwing haymakers and stuff throughout the fight, just finally one caught in the 5th round. And it wasn't necessarily the first shot that knocked Dos Anjos out. It was the one on the ground, like that follow-up shot that really put him out. Because honestly, when it first happened, I was like, why did Mark, or I think it was Mark Smith, right?
Yep, Mark Smith, yeah. I
was like, why did Mark stop it so fast? And then you see the replay, because obviously the camera angle when it first happened was from behind. So you couldn't see, Dos Anjos go out. And then when you show the close-up of that follow-up shot, put Dos Anjos out, then you like, all right, that was a great stoppage by Mark, because we couldn't see that on TV. But he came, he did what he's supposed to do, pulled off the highlight reel knockout in the 5th round. And props to him because, like you said, he is capitalizing on his star power. There's a number of fights ahead of him that could be interesting. I keep seeing Beneil Dariush kind of sitting around looking for a fight. Some veteran like Tony Ferguson could be interesting. I don't think Conor's star power is in his league. I don't think that's something Conor's even going to think about. They had a little fun with the whole axe kick matrix move, but I think that's just fun online. I think Conor's looking at, some big money fight, whether it's Oliveira or whether it's Chandler, or if something because I think now it's Masvidal and Burns set up pretty much. So if that doesn't come through, maybe for Masvidal, but I think Conor's just looking at big money fights, and Fiziev isn't quite on that level yet. If you had to match Fiziev up with somebody, who do you think should be next for him?
I mean, he did call out Justin Gaethje, so I would be down to watch that fight. Him versus Gaethje, you definitely know it was going to be a stand-up fight. And which, of course, if I see that fight, I would probably lean towards Fiziev because I think he is the better overall striker. But I could definitely see that fight, happening for him. Like say, he called out Gaethje, but I know Gaethje, I think is having no surgery, so I mean, he could be out for a while.
I think Gaethje's out for a while. Yeah, I think Gaethje's chilling. I don't even know if Gaethje's going to fight again. To be honest, I've heard him kind of like flirt with like just taking some time off. Like you said, he's getting the nose surgery, kind of like resetting his batteries after he's been through a few wars in the last year with Chandler and Oliveira and everything else. So I don't think we're going to see Gaethje for a while, but, he's still kind of young too. So, he'll probably be back sooner than later. But I think there's a lot of fun fights in that lightweight division. We always know how exciting that division can be. So be interesting to see. He kind of jumped up a lot by beating the former champion. Dos Anjos, he can always make a fight with anybody, so it's not really a matter of who's next for him. It's just really who will sign on the dotted line. He never really backs down from anybody. So it'll be interesting. In that UFC rankings division, right now, as of today, Fiziev is now number 7, and of course, Dariush is right next to him at number 6. So I think that one makes a lot of sense if the Gaethje fight doesn't happen. I think the Gaethje fight would be more exciting because I think no matter how good Fiziev's takedown defense is, Dariush is one of those guys on a different level when it comes to that wrestling and takedown. So that would be a definite challenge. I don't know if he would have a problem with it because, like you said, he has really good takedown defense. But Dariush would definitely give him a new set of challenges. Over in the co-main event, Cal Borralho versus Armen Petrosyan. Interesting fight. I'm going to say interesting. Like, Borralho didn't really do much per se. He kind of just controlled him with the takedowns, controlled him with the control time. He definitely exploited, Petrosyan looking for the big shots, looking for the knockouts, looking for the highlights, and took him down relentlessly throughout the fight. Petrosyan was able to get up a few times, had a few highlights. I think he won a round. I know a couple had a 30-27. I would have given at least like the second round, but that's just me. What did you think of that fight?
Yeah, like I said, Petrosyan, he got controlled. I mean, to me, like I say, he lost that fight hands down.
No doubt about who won. Yeah.
Yeah, Borralho definitely looked good. Like I said, he's one of these young 185ers, that they have. And to me, like I said, they're trying to pump up some new blood for 185. Like I said, he's one of those guys. I don't think he's ready, to make a big leap or anything, top 5 or anything like that. But to me, man, you're coming in co-main event, on a fight night card, get your name out there, has good English, he has a look, he looks like Clark Kent over here, and then boom, becomes Superman. When he's fighting, stuff like that. So again, to me, I say last Saturday was really about building stars, building your future. You got somebody in Fiziev, the future 155, and then you got Burrell, the future out at 185, maybe.
Maybe. I think it's still out. The jury's still out on that because he's been impressive. He had a couple Dana White Contender Series, came out, won his debut, fought a very tough Petrosian, only had one loss, and he said himself after the fight, he did what he had to do to win because he knew how dangerous Petrosian was on his feet. Why take that risk when you don't have to? If you can't stop the takedown, why not just keep taking him down? And that's smart. Like, we always want to see the fireworks as fans. We want to see, it's boring when you just lay on somebody. But if you're an up-and-coming fighter, the most important thing on your resume is either impressing Dana with a highlight knockout, or if you're fighting a very dangerous opponent, just keep winning. Just keep winning, because now you look at the resume, 3 months from now, you're not going to look and see how he won the fight. You're just going to see, he beat a very tough Armin Petrosian. And eventually the memory of how some of these fights go kind of fades because you just look at the record book. And I think it's smart by him. I think it's smart. I think he's going to keep on moving up. I think there's a lot of people in front of him when you talk about that middleweight division. Obviously, at the top, you got somebody like Adesanya. And as far as he goes, he's still not ranked. But you have some – I think he called out Driscus, didn't he? Called out Duplessis after the fight?
He could have, like I said, up and comers out here, to me, they're just trying to pump up new blood in that 185 division.
Yeah, I think he called out Driscus Duplessis after the fight, which would be a good fight for him because Driscus is 14. That'd be a chance to get him in the top 15. You got names like my guy Brad Tavares. You got veterans like Uriah Hall sitting there. That would all be a good fight for him. Obviously, Uriah Hall will probably be just like this one. He'd probably just go wrestle him the whole time and get him down and get the win. So there's definitely wins to be had there. He's got a pretty bright future. Just be interesting to see who they match him up with, because if they match him up with another grappler, that might be a little bit more of a challenge. So let's see what happens. They tried grappler versus striker this time, and he was smart. He took the brilliant way out of that one. Also on the card, actually, I know we're kind of sticking to main co-main, but I want to get your thoughts on this. I think I'm crazy, but I saw some people online that kind of agreed with me. The Said Nurmagomedov fight in Douglas Silva de Andre, right? Silva de Andre controlled over 4 minutes of control time with his wrestling. Now, I know Nurmagomedov had some highlight like kicks and punches and stuff like that. But honestly, I saw one judge give it 30-27, the other 29-28. I actually had Douglas winning 29-28. Like, I actually thought he beat Nurmagomedov. Am I crazy?
And like you said, MMA judging, it's all over the place. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of fights, or earlier on the card where you scratch your head and you don't know what these judges are looking for. Like I said, 1 week they tell you damage, another week it looks like it's control. And while you're going with right now, like I said, with that the Silva fight, like I said, you had over 4 minutes of control time. But you said though, what's the name? He had the flashier, kicks and techniques and everything like that. So I mean, like I said, it's what is, I guess, to me, I guess it's whatever mood you are into that night, I
thought I was going crazy, bro, because even the last round, I'm sitting there watching this fight, and I hear the announcers nonstop talking about Nurmagomedov, but I'm like, yo, Douglas Silva de Andre is sitting there smacking him with his jab. He's constantly keep hitting him, and once in a while, you'd see Nurmagomedov throw a shot, and then all of a sudden I hear the scorecards, and I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. Who did you think won the fight?
I don't know, man. To me, I kind of thought it was a close one. So to me, I kind of thought it could have went either way. With to me how they were judging, earlier in the night, I was kind of like, I kind of was like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it went either way, in which that's what it did.
I just think it's ridiculous that one judge gave it 30-27 when literally, I think it was the second round, literally Douglas was on top of him the whole round. Mm. And then you're going to sit there, what, because he landed a couple shots in the first minute? The whole rest of the round, he was on top of him. And I'm like, what, 30-27? What were you watching? Were you getting a hot dog? Were you getting some popcorn? What was happening? MMA judging. Shout out to Chase Sherman. He got a win, which is big because, he was cut and then they brought him back and then he had some medical issues. He's getting an extended life now because he got a big win against Yair Vanderaa. Kind of a sloppy fight. I think Vanderaa was actually winning going into that third round on the scorecard. So, big come from behind knockout for Chase Sherman. Zahibi versus Tursois was such an interesting fight to score. You talk about MMA judging, and I'm sure that's one of the ones that you were talking about. But then again, there was points where Tursois just didn't do anything. He was just dancing and doing his unorthodox movement, but not actually doing anything. And I just didn't understand it. Jamie Malarkey with him and Michael Johnson, that was arguably one of the fights of the night. Like, they went back and forth, rocking each other. Jamie Malarkey got the split decision win. Brundage.
Like I said, like, to me, like that fight. Another one. Fights where I was looking at, because, like I said, I had Johnson winning that fight. I thought he won the first and third. Malarkey, he definitely took care of the second. Like, to me, the clear rounds were rounds 2 and 3. You had 2 for Malarkey, 3 for Johnson. Round 1, they were going back and forth. They both hurt
each other in round 1.
Yeah. But like I said though, but to me, my thing is that Malarkey got dropped. Johnson almost kind of came close to finishing him, but of course, he didn't get the job done. But then also too, though, he did take a big shot at the end of that round as well. So I mean, the first round was close.
It's like you always say, though. It's like you always say, the refs remember that last part of the round.
Yep.
And I agree with you. I thought Johnson won that fight too, but like you said about the Nurmagomedov fight, I just didn't think it was close enough, like, to where I'd fight about it. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought, like, yeah, I agree with you. Like, and like you said, when Johnson took him down, Johnson hurt him. Johnson was going for the finish. When Malarkey hurt him, it was like towards the end of the round.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, they remember what happens last sometimes, even though, like, you could be having a big round. But I think I had Johnson winning. Brundage over Gore, big knockout in the first round. What happened to your fight, buddy?
Like I said, again, MMA judging, man.
Courtney Casey.
Yeah, like I said, to me, man, I had Courtney Casey winning that fight as well. First round, first and third round for her. Shevchenko took the second round. Like I said, in the first round, yeah, she did have her guard. She was on her back, but she was the one that was doing the damage. She was throwing those elbows. She was cutting her up, making her bleed. And then boom, again, MMA judging. I guess this week it was all about control. I mean, well, I guess I should say for this fight, it was all about control, but then the other fight, as you were saying with De Silva and what's the name, it was about the flash, Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was a close fight. I agree with you, but I think I had Shevchenko winning just because of the control, but I don't know. At this point, do any of us know?
Exactly.
You got people been in the business for a lifetime, and they're looking at some of these judges, and they're like, what? That's the only reason I stay on Twitter half the time, just to see the massive reactions after some of these fights. Onama over Armfield. He got the arm triangle choke. And Chukwu pulled off the, in my opinion, upset over Carl Robertson. Big knockout there, TKO. And Rakhmonov versus Ronnie Lawrence, dominating decision, 30-27, 30-26. Just no contest. But another fun card, a lot to look forward to for a lot of these fighters. But that, Brandon, leads us to our next segment, the thing people wanted to see. We put out a poll. We were like, what do you really want to see in an MMA show? MMA news stories, MMA debate, previews, results. Previews and results got like 25% each. But the 50%, and I think 1 or 2 people voted for MMA news, but pretty much the 50% was MMA debate. They like watching us fight, Brandon. So I'm going to throw down the pen. Sorry about the mic. Throw down the pen because, Brandon, it's time for Battleground. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Rakhmonov, another impressive win. We keep talking about Khamzat Chimaev in that 170-pound division. Of course, he also fights 185 sometimes. And we're talking, he comes off that big win over Gilbert Burns, even though it was a tough challenge, a very close fight. He did get the win over a much higher-ranked opponent. Khamzat is now in the top 5. Rakhmonov is now up to number 10. But none of Rakhmonov's fights have really been close at all. He's been dominating everybody, but he hasn't faced a Gilbert Burns. But then again, up until his last fight, neither had Khamzat Chimaev. He fought, the Leech, but that's probably about the highest ranked guy he had fought. Brandon, I'm gonna let you go ahead and start. Quick, right off the bat. Out of these two guys, who is the future at 170 pounds?
It's Rakhmonov because to me, I think he has more tools, and also too, he has the better fighter IQ. I mean, you can go look at that Chimaev Gilbert Burns fight. He kind of fought reckless. He really wasn't listening to his coach. Hence why to me, Burns had a chance. But if you look at Rakhmonov basically sets people up. He actually lets them do the things that they want to do, and then he turns it against them. Like saying, you look at somebody like his last fight against No Magny, which of course No Magny is no slouch, tough guy. Can get you on the ground, can get you standing up. And what did he do? Everybody thought that fight was going to go to a third round. Boom, Rakhmonov submission, guillotine, got the tap. And it's like I said, he's moving on. So, in my opinion, to me, Rakhmonov is that guy. I think just people don't give him the credit he deserves. Why? Because he's a quiet guy. While Chimaev, he's out there, he's bold, he's talking. He's shouting at you. So people are going to gravitate that. So that's my thoughts.
I mean, you're exactly on point with a lot of the comparisons, right? And the reason why these two guys are so interesting is because they can both strike, they can both grapple, they both have good wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Chimaev's tapped out a number of guys, Rakhmonov's tapped out a number of guys. Both of them can finish you on the feet with kicks or punches. These are two of the most well-rounded young prospects we've seen in a long time, and they happen to be in the same division. Now, the only thing I think that stops these guys from being on a collision course is that I think at some point, if there's a money fight, I can see Chimaev jumping up to 185. Like, I don't think that's even a problem for him. But if I had to look at these two right now, you're right. Chimaev's loud. Shavkat's quiet. He's humble. He's not trying to. His people had to force him to call out a fight after that last fight. They were like, hey, don't forget to call this guy out. And Shavkat was like, oh, yeah, this person. And he didn't really, he wasn't really into it. That wasn't his heart. His people told him he had to do it so he could get a better fight. And it's not like Rakhmonov has fought chumps. He's fought Oliveira. He's fought Magny. He's fought some solid UFC veterans. He just hasn't fought like a number 3 fighter in the world like Gilbert Burns, who just fought for a title recently. But that said, I agree with you. I know it's supposed to be a debate, but I actually agree with you. I think Shavkat has the much better future. I think both of them could be champion one day. And I see once Usman moves on, these two might be the rivalry in the next 5 years that we're like, the way that Max and Volkanovski have been in that featherweight division. Like, these could be the guys that go back and forth because I don't see too many people in that division that can beat them. Obviously, you think Usman. Usman can probably beat both of them because he's the best in the world at what he does right now. Now, that is what it is. But then you look at a Colby Covington. I think Covington has problems with both of these guys, especially Shavkat. I think he can kind of lure Chimaev into somewhat of a uncomfortable fight because Chimaev tends to, he gets too proud sometimes, and he wants to fight your fight sometimes. Where I think Rakhmonov just sticks to his game plan. But Gilbert Burns, Chimaev already beat. Bilal Muhammad, I think, is an interesting matchup. He said he was a bad matchup for Chimaev, but I'm not really sure about that. I think wrestling is the one thing I don't think you want to do with Chimaev. He comes from that Swedish camp with a lot of those guys. They wrestle all day long. Rakhmonov is another dude. You talk about Kazakhstan and Dagestan and all those countries over there that he's sitting there wrestling with all those guys. These guys have such good hands that you forget how good grapplers they are. But I do agree with you. I think Rakhmonov has the brighter future. I think he has all the tools, and then he has a likability factor too if you want to attach star power. It's not always the Conor McGregor style that Chimaev's kind of copying where he's just loud. Sometimes people want to gravitate to the nice guy. And it's kind of funny you say nice guy in a sport where they're known for trying to kill each other. But for all intents and purposes, Shavkat is a quiet, reserved, humble, nice guy. And I don't know what he's like back at home. I don't know what he's like off camera. But when on camera, he's the guy you want to root for. And I just hope one day that we get these two. If they face off, do you still think Shavkat's the one that can win that fight?
Yeah, I do believe that Rakhmonov is the better fighter. Like I said, I think he has the higher, fighter IQ, and I think he has better tools.
Real quick before we get on to the next subject, 3 years from now, are either one of these guys champion?
Yeah, I can see it.
You think Usman's going to be moved on to something different in 3 years?
Probably, because I want to say like Usman's like 30, 36, maybe 30, 35, 36. So yeah, I mean, he talks about retirement here and there. That's why he kept on trying to angle for that Canelo fight. So you see, get this big payday and then probably call it quits.
Canelo had the best response the other day. Did you see that?
No.
Canelo, he was like, like somehow Usman was talking about Canelo again. And Canelo was like, it was like, tell me when and where. And Canelo was like, well, you're the one calling me out, so you know where. And when I still have to fight Triple G in this in like another mandatory, I guess the guy he lost to. So you're gonna have to wait your turn. So sit down and wait your turn. Is basically what he said. Sit down and wait your turn. And I just thought it was hilarious because he was like, you're the one calling me out, so you're gonna have to come to my sport. Because I think Usman's tweet was something about I can beat you in MMA or boxing. You just tell me when and where. And he was like, well, it's going to be in boxing because you're calling me out and you want the payday. And that's true. Usman wants the payday. He wants one giant payday. He was kind of late to the sport. You remember he was kind of like an afterthought going into that American top team versus Black Zillion's tough competition. And he stole the show. The people in the gym knew how tough he was, knew how good he was. But the world didn't until that season, and now he's taking that ball and run with it, which is impressive because he's now the best welterweight in the world. So I agree with you. I think in the next 3 years, I think he'll be moved on to something else, whether it's moved up or to another division or whatever the case is, because he's also talking about jumping up to light heavyweight, skipping over his friend Adesanya. So there's going to be an opening, and I think it's going to be a real fun fight if those two ever match up. Leave a comment. Let us know. Shavkat versus Chimaev. Both Brandon and I think Shavkat is the one. But there is no wrong answer, Brandon, because these two both are phenomenal. And I know a lot of people hate on Chimaev because of all of his brashness. But the guy can fight. He can fight. He showed up. And I still hope we get that Leon Edwards fight one day soon, too. All right, Brandon. You ready for these previews and picks?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, UFC on ABC 3. Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. We also got Michelle Waterson versus Amanda Lemos. And then we're going to make our fight picks and kind of browse through the rest of the card. As of last week, I crept above Brandon by mainly because I had another fight canceled because that's what I do, Brandon. I picked the fight that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about doing it this week again, but honestly, I don't really care that much about Lauren Murphy and Miesha Tate. But I thought that might be the fight that doesn't happen, so I should pick that one. But no. Anyway, we're going to start off with the main event. We got T-City Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. Brandon, tell me who wins this fight and tell me why.
I think I'm gonna go with Yair Rodriguez on this one because I know this fight to me is gonna start out on the feet and I think he's gonna stay on the feet. To me, Brian Ortega, he likes to stand and bang with people and usually he does his submissions kind of as a last hope,
last resort.
Yeah, so like I said, he's gonna start. He's gonna start up. He's gonna stand, and I think Yair is gonna put it on him, and he's gonna get his hand raised.
Man, this fight's tough. Yair showed a lot of heart against Max Holloway, but he didn't show enough skill. Against everybody else, Yair Rodriguez has been a killer. But let's be real. He was probably losing to Zombie until he knocked him out with a second left.
He was losing to Zombie.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Brian Ortega. I think he's going to bounce back, especially after that Volkanovski situation and got really destroyed from Volkanovski. I think Brian Ortega has a big chip on his shoulder right now. And I've heard him talking recently. I feel like he's in a good mental space, which is something. I heard him talking about going back more to his grappling. Will he get caught in a firefight with Yair Rodriguez? Possibly. Would he get caught by a head kick from Yair Rodriguez? Possibly. But he lasted quite a while with one of the best in the world in Volkanovski. Throughout all the damage, he showed a lot of heart and kept coming back. I honestly think Ortega has more tools, especially with the guillotine, especially with the triangle, especially with some of the things he does. And I think he's more slippery on the ground if it happens to get there. So I'm going to go ahead and take Ortega. I think he's just a more all-around fighter. And the only person Ortega loses to is champions. You know, Max Holloway, Volkanovski. That's no shame. That's no shame. So Yair Rodriguez is awesome, but, you know, I'm going to go ahead and take Brian Ortega. Probably much to the chagrin of my guy Alex Soto, who roots for all the Mexican fighters. So
I mean,
I'm
they're
sure
both Mexican, so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Actually, I don't know why I just never think about Brian Ortega and his Mexican heritage. I know he is. And he also helped open up the Mexican Performance Center down there in Mexico City. So the UFC Performance Center. So you are right. Over in the co-main event, this one, I'm kind of interested to see who you're picking this one. We got Michelle Waterson and Amanda Lemos. Tell me what you got.
I mean, you know me, big fan of Michelle Waterson, but I'm gonna go with Lemos. Like I said, to me, man, Michelle Waterson, for the longest time she's been in the UFC. I mean, just like Jessica Penne on the card. To me, they are 105ers. They're just hanging out at 115 because they want to be in the UFC. I think
Lemos is too big for her?
Yeah, I think so. I think Lemos is bigger. I think Lemos is stronger, and I think she's gonna put it on Waterson. Like, yes, Waterson is good. She has good technique. She is tough, but I think Lemos might stop her maybe second, third round.
You don't usually see Michelle Waterson get stopped. You got to go back to 2017 against Rose when she got caught in a rear naked choke. My question really about this fight isn't who's better, because honestly, I would take Michelle Waterson. But my question is her health. She came off an injury. She had some fights postponed. She's been back training. She looks in great shape. But that's gym pictures. That's not actually getting into the cage and fighting an Amanda Lemos, who, quite honestly, has a chip on her shoulder after losing to Jessica Andrade last fight. Lemos needs this fight more than Waterson does to keep kind of climbing. Michelle Waterson's always going to get fights because of who she is and her name. But that said, I think the one weakness Lemos has is in the grappling department. And I think if you get in scrambles, I think it's Michelle Waterson's party. So I'm going to go ahead and take Michelle Waterson. I think her karate and her striking is definitely enough to keep Lemos at bay. And her ability to mix it up with her wrestling, you know, people forget. That's what, you know, Jackson Wink, they always talk about, you know, that wrestling. Like a lot of them, you talk about strikers like Holly Holm and all them, but they've developed that wrestling. And it's just crazy. John Jones, like wrestling. Very underrated. So I'm going to go ahead and take Michelle Waterson in that one, which is great because, hey, we both got opposite picks for both main events and co-main event for once.
Yeah.
Brandon, I don't think anybody at home has any question who you're going to pick in your fight pick of the day, but go ahead and let them know.
Man, you know I'm going with my boy Shane Burgos by violence. That's how he's going to get the job done. Saying performance of the night.
He's still undefeated in New York, right?
Yeah. So let's keep that rolling. And yeah, man, like I said, just Shane Burgos by violence.
By violence. I like it. I like it. It's going to be a tough fight against Charles Jourdain. That's going to be a scrap. I'll be interested to see. It's actually the first time Shane's fought this year, too. He's had some time off since some of those fights last year, so he'll be fresh. Be good to see. Good to see Shane back in the cage against Charles Jourdain. My fight, honestly, I'm scared to pick this fight. I'm picking it because I think, you know, this could be fight of the night by far. Ricky Simone's been on a super high streak. Jack Tank Shore is undefeated for a reason. These guys are in a clash, and I'm picking Ricky Simone to give him Jack Shore's first loss. Ricky Simone's wrestling, his just scrappiness, his ability to get in and out of positions at lightning speed, as a lot of the smaller guys do. I think he's going to give Jack Shore fits. I don't think he's seen like wrestling and grappling on that level. And I think Simone, since he's had a couple of those losses, is like 3 in a row now where he's just had a chip on his shoulder, including 2 straight finishes. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Ricky Simone and probably what should be the upset of the night. But I don't think it's an upset. I think it's just on paper he's the underdog because of the records.
Yeah.
But I think anybody that's seen Ricky Simone the last few fights, and he's had talks about fighting a Sean O'Malley and Dominic Cruz and all these other guys. Jack Shore was the one that stepped up. We haven't seen Ricky Simone this year. He fought 3 times last year. He fought once in 2020 because of the pandemic, but he usually fights about 3 times a year. Both 2018 and 2019, he had 3 fights. So this is kind of a long layoff for him. So he's chomping at the bit, ready to get in there. I know he had like a little bit of an injury in January coming off his last fight in December. So he's healed up. He's ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and take Ricky Simone. On this card, we got a lot of fun fights. We got Lee versus Slakov, Schnell versus Madurai, your boy Shane Burgos versus Jourdain, Lauren Murphy versus Misha Tate. That's what they say. Will it happen this week? Supposed to happen like 3 times already. Is it time? We'll see. I feel bad for both these ladies, though, trying to stay on weight for the amount of months they've had to do. But you got Soriano versus Lungi. I'm going to butcher this, but Lungiambula. I talked about Ricky Simone, Jack Shore. Bill Algeo, he's supposed to fight Billy Q. That's supposed to be a big fight. Got a big-time opponent to step up, and Herbert Burns, younger brother of Gilbert Burns, another great jiu-jitsu guy. Him and Bill Algeo are going to have a great fight. Dustin Jacoby, your boy, versus Ung Young. Dwight Grant versus Stoltzfus. And everybody, you love Jessica Penny.
I do.
Going against Ducati. Just for kicks and giggles, who do you think wins that fight?
Man, it's a tough one because I do like Ducati as well, from Invicta, but I got to go with Penne, the veteran. Like I said, I think she can strike. I think she can grapple as well. That's actually where I think she has the advantage is through the wrestling, through the grappling. Like I said, man, she's a veteran, man. Her, Carla Esparza, fans of those two holding it down for me. So yeah, me, Jessica Penne.
Honestly, I think you have a point about the grappling, but I think Ducati's power is dangerous.
Yeah, she does.
Ducati catches her, it's lights out. But Penny does have a way to be slippery and use all that grappling of hers. So I could be wrong. I could be hating on her for one more fight after this.
You are. You're just hating for her because you want her to be out of the UFC for some strange reason.
Because she was suspended multiple years without a win. She didn't even have a win in the promotion when they suspended her. She had like 3 straight losses, and they kept her around, and then she came back and had a couple wins now. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, let's forget that she was suspended for, PEDs and shit. Look, Jessica Penny's earned her way back in the UFC. She's definitely performed since she's gotten back. Props to her. But I do think Ducati is the next thing up. She's, talked about a lot, like challenging for a title soon. I think Ducati has a very bright future, and I don't think Jessica Penny's the one to stand in her way. But hey, we watch this show. We know I can be wrong.
Yep, 11 a.m. on Saturday. You can watch it, but nice, bright and early.
I'm gonna be watching that shit on replay later. That's too early in the day for me. I got to work. Any final thoughts this week, Brandon?
Man, like I said, it should be a fun filled card this Saturday. Like I said, you got some good fights on the prelims, and you got some good fights on the main card. Just kind of stinks that it's so well. It does stink for me because I'm actually still going to be working that day, so that's why I kind of won't be able to really watch the prelims. But the main card, I will be able to watch the prelims. I have to watch later on.
It's all, it's on ABC, but all of it should be available on ESPN Plus later at night. Yep. So it shouldn't be a big deal if you have to watch it later. It's unusual for a fight card to be that early in the day, but they're doing it on ABC. They want that kind of worldwide sports type audience in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday, which is fine. It's a nice different change of pace, but I will definitely be catching it later because like you, I'll be working. I got to grind away. Y'all aren't buying enough shirts. I got to grind. That said, let us know what you like about the format. We threw the MMA debate in the middle. I clearly kicked Brandon's ass,
right.
even if we agree. Leave a comment, though. Let us know what you think about it. Tell us who you think has the brighter future. Leave your picks. We want to hear from you. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Check out the other show on the network, Kicking It. Brandon and Tim just dropped a new episode talking about the match and Glory 81 and some other stuff. Check out Crossing Borders. We got the preview for this weekend's Luke's Fight League 24. Got Lazy Boy Rodriguez in action, so check that out. He's another one of those guys next on deck if you love the UFC. He's somebody you're going to be keeping an eye on. Got another Luke's guy coming right up in Dana White's Contender Series, Alessandro Nono Costa. So you're going to see some of these guys popping up in the Contender Series a lot. That's where they come from. It's on UFC Fight Pass. It's on ESPN Deportes. So no reason not to watch it. Some of the best action. And you know my co-host over on Crossing Borders, Alex Soto, you know he likes attention. Give it to him. That said, for the mechanic, Brandon Catino, check out his collection on Fighters First. I'm Mike Ginn. This is Art of MMA. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the fights. We're out.